Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up and use Smart Money Concepts by LuxAlgo on your charts, and then I'm also going to add in a couple trading strategies for you guys to help bring you some consistent profits. That way you guys can become full-time investors, or at least have a lot more income and a lot more money in your bank account, right? This is meant for those of you guys that specifically want to trade cryptocurrency, stocks, and or options. This is going to be the base for helping you guys with all of those things. All right. So before we begin, I would really love if you guys could give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Helps out more than you guys can possibly imagine, because my channel has been shadow banned a little bit in the past. So I need to get this thing juiced back up. Appreciate you guys. So first of all, you guys can see I have a lot of clutter on here. I have a bunch of stuff going on. For this, I want all of us to go over here very fast, and I want us to all make a brand new layout, okay? From here, you can just type in whatever name you want to. You can say LuxAlgo Smart Money. It can be whatever you guys want to, but whatever you name it, hit save, and open up a brand new tab. Afterwards, close your last tab, move over here, and there's a few things I want to do before we get started. This is pretty far zoomed out, and this is my 100%, so I can see this normally, but you guys may have a little bit more trouble. So what I'm going to do is actually go over here. I'm going to zoom in to about 175%. It will look a little bit larger. It may look kind of clumsy at times, but this is so you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at without having to squint or zoom in on the video itself, all right? Now, I'm going to get out of this new product thing that it keeps on trying to push to me. I'm going to push the chart into logarithmic form. Looks a little bit better that way. I'm using Bitcoin for today, and that's just because I usually trade cryptocurrencies as, you know, I just like it better because it's 24/7. Now, I'm going to get rid of volume right here because I don't trade using volume. I trade using momentum. If you guys like to use volume while trading, please feel free to keep it there. I just don't use it, okay? Next up here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to go over here to this tool that has a little bit of a chart on it. Because I am zoomed in right now, you're not going to see this, but if you guys do zoom back out, it'll actually just say indicators right there, that little logo. So I'm going to go back to 175, click on it here, and what I want you guys to type in is Smart Money Concepts. You guys are going to see it under community. It's going to be Smart Money Concepts, SMC, LuxAlgo, 86,000 likes as of this moment in time. And I want you guys to click on this one time. All right. Now, from here, I'm going to be showing you guys everything that this thing has to offer. And this is 100% free. I know a lot of you guys are always asking, does it cost money? It does not. I'm going to be breaking down all of this stuff for you guys. It's going to take a little bit of time, but bear with me, because once you guys understand it, you guys are going to be like, whoa, I didn't know trading was this simple. All right. So to get started here in the beginning, I'm going to see Smart Money Concepts, and you're going to see mode and style. Mode basically means this here. You can see a break of structure, equal high lows, change of characters, that type of stuff. Historical means you can see all of the stuff in the past. If you guys were to go to present, it's only going to show you the most recent equal low, break of structure, change of character, and all that. It's only going to show you the most recent ones, all right? And we're going to break down what each one of those things means here in a few minutes. Go back to it over here. And if you go back to historical, you're going to see everything from the past. I like looking at a historical because it just lets me know, hey, how successful has this been over the past few months, years, days, minutes, whatever time frame you're using. You can look back and see, has this been successful? No, yes. If it's been successful, you can continue to go trading on that particular stock, cryptocurrency, forex pair, whatever you guys are looking for. You can continue to do that, all right? Next up, you have styled. This one is probably the least important on this list, but some of you guys don't like the color scheme of the green and red. If you guys want to go to monochrome, it just makes it all gray. Everything in this indicator turns gray, all right? That's all it does. I don't like the way it looks at all, so typically I will just have it stay colored. That's my personal preference, and that's the way I like it. Next up, you're going to have color candles here, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth in a few minutes. But basically, if I were to zoom in here, you can see we had a change of character right here, a break of structure right here. And if I go back and I hit this checkbox, you're going to see that it turns green, right? Green right there. This is a buy signal. It says it's going to go higher over time. This is a red signal saying, hey, maybe you want to start selling over here because you may go down even lower, and on and on. And you can kind of see how it's going back and forth between the colors here. In order to fix that, I want you guys to click on this. You see how it goes back to being red and green? Go all the way to the right-hand side, and you see this thing called visual order. This will bring the indicator all the way to the front. I don't know why it does this, but nobody ever talks about this through any of the tutorials, so I just don't want you guys to be confused about why it's going from back and forth. Now, if I move it around, do whatever, those colors are going to stay perfectly the same, okay? Now, This will help you guys if you're brand new to trading and you just want to have a clear buy, sell signal. A lot of times people think the red is just to short or the green is just to cover position or buy. It really depends on the perceptions of how you guys are trading, and this is what we're going to be talking about in the tutorials. But you can see buy here, sell here, sell here. You've made a lot of money, right? Buy here, we haven't had a sell signal yet, so if you're still holding, you're still up from the time it turned green over here or when you had the change of character right here, all right? You're still looking good. Let's move on here, but for now, what I want to do is keep this off, and we'll come back to it a little bit later just to kind of bring everything together in the tutorials. Next up, we're going to have real-time internal structure. This is where you have the change of characters, the reds and the greens, and the break of structures here. Most of you guys probably don't know about market structure, so what I'm going to advise you guys to do here, and I'll walk you through it very fast, go back over to the indicators, type in Smart Money Concepts again. You're going to see it, but instead of clicking on this one more time, what I want you guys to do is go over here to this little thing that says read more, click on it once, and it's actually going to open up a whole script and everything that this thing has to offer here. It's going to have a bunch of tutorials, and I'm just going to explain what this exactly means, okay? So it'll have an example right here with the US dollar index. We're not using that right now. We're going off of Bitcoin and crypto, so we're going to go down a little bit more, and we're just going to focus with this. I'm going to open this in a new tab, and you guys can see it all the way right here. Temporarily, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of my head so you guys can see everything this thing has to offer. You're going to see a chart going up and then down. You're going to see break of structures right here, which is the BOS with the green dotted line. You're going to see a change of character right here with the red dotted line, and over and over and over again, all right? So basically, a break of structure is when the price breaks above a higher high and an uptrend or a lower low and a downtrend. So you can have red break of structures and you can have green break of structures. You can have red change of characters and you can have green change of characters, okay? Break of structures basically mean, hey, we're going up, we've dipped down a little bit, but we've made a new local high that's broken out above this recent peak. That will equal a break of structure right there. A change of character is, hey, we're having higher highs and higher lows, but we broke down below the higher low right here. And because of that, we've started a new trend. You can imagine us having a trend line right here, and we're actually seeing a breakdown right there, and that would suggest we're going down. That same type of concept is being worked out here, right? So that change of character is usually where you guys will look to start opening positions here. Opening a position here will generally get you some money. Opening a position when it turns green on the other side will generally bring you some money. Of course, if you're looking for the red, you're going to be shorting. If you're looking for the greens, you're going to be going long. Most of you guys are newer investors are going to be going long more than shorting, although both can make you some really good money. On the other side here, break of structures, it just means you can continue to hold. You have confidence that the trade is continuing to go your way. Your eyeballs could just tell you all of this with change of characters and break of structures, but I think for new investors, this is really just a great way to be confident in your decision making. That way you don't have as many emotions, and that way at the same time you're not going to be freaking out or trying to get rid of your trade too early before the profits really start rolling in. There's nothing worse, and you guys have known this, than opening or closing a trade at the wrong time and being very disappointed that if you would have just held, you would have made some good profit. All right, next up here on below, you're going to see order blocks and all of this type of stuff, but you can see swing break of structures, bearish sign right there, bearish sign right there, bearish sign, and each time it went down a little bit more for you guys to make some good money here. Then the bullish change of character, and you can see how it took off. We'll be talking about this more in the strategy section, and but I just wanted you guys to have a clear understanding of what break of structure and change of character mean. If you guys have any questions about this, always ask in the comments. I do answer them up to like a year after the video goes live, so I will be down there answering questions for you guys as well. And this is not the only tutorial I will be doing here. Now, you guys can see my pretty head again. So when it comes to this, you can see there's a few of them here. Show internal structure. If I were to uncheck this box here, you're going to see all of these go away, right? All of it went away. Keep this on. You're going to see bullish structure all, bearish structure all, and this is basically just saying, hey, if you only want to have the green signals here, you can turn off the bearish structure if you guys wanted to, or if you guys wanted to, you can only use break of structure, or you can only use change of character. I like to have all of them on there, but if you guys feel like that it's ever too cluttered, like if I was going over here to a 15-minute chart and you guys feel like there's too much stuff going on, what you guys can do is always say, hey, I don't really care about break of structure, so I just want to look at change of characters, and it'll take away a lot of the unnecessary stuff that may maybe you guys don't want to see. All right. So for now, I'm going to go back to all because that's my typical thing that I like to do. I'm going to go back to the weekly chart here. That's a little bit less cluttered. And from here, we're going to be moving on to the next step here, which is the Confluence filter. Sometimes if there's a lot of stuff like we were just talking about on the chart, too many change of characters, too many breakout structures, and you feel like it's just too much, what you guys can do is actually go over here and click this box and it'll take out some of the unnecessary ones for you. I don't typically like to have this turned on. I want to see everything that's going on. I find that if you do want to use this, this is primarily for smaller time frames and not for the larger time frames. You can see how this took away one of the Smart Money Concepts change of characters right here. I want to see that on the weekly chart, but on the daily chart, on the 5-minute chart, 1-minute charts, you can feel free to turn this off. For now, I do swing trading, so I'm going to actually keep this on, right? Or see me off, unchecked, if you will. From there, I'm going to go to internal label size. This is where you guys can determine what size you want these to be at. I would always recommend having these at normal. And you can even see right here, show the swing structure. We're going to make this normal at the same time. And that's because I am zoomed in at 175%. If I were to go back to 100%, that still looks pretty small. So imagine if it was back to being tiny, it's just very hard to read, all right? So for now, let's keep it there at large, or see me normal. I prefer, if they had a larger section, I would actually have a larger setting. But here we go. Next up, we have swing label size. This is the exact same thing as change of character, but it's more of a potent change of character. So this one right here, you can see is internal, right? Oops, excuse me, right here, internal. This one has a dotted line. If you see one with a solid line, that is going to be much more powerful than one that has a dotted line. All right. So the dotted lines are good. The solid lines are great. You will mostly find them on smaller time frames though. So if I were to go over to the 15-minute chart, you would see solid line ones in here, right? Solid lines one in here, dotted lines over here. And you can see the difference of them, okay? Now, you can see they're not always going to be accurate, and we're going to break that down on the future. Trust me, it is very important that you guys understand everything. Then we go over the strategy, because every signal is not going to be 100% correct. And I want you guys to understand that this is not some type of get-rich-quick thing. You still have to know the base technicals of support and resistance and stuff like that, all right? People always assume you can just follow the green and the red. And while that may work on the weekly time frames and the daily time frames, on the smaller time frames, it's a whole different ballgame, because that's where momentum comes in. All right. So going back over here, you guys can see some of the same concepts here that we just talked about with the internal structure. Bullish structure, keep it all. Bearish structure, keep it all. If you guys want to change the colors, you can, but I just don't recommend it. Unless your brain really just want something different, you guys can. Next up, you're going to see show swing points. Go to the eye right here and it says display swing point as labels on the chart. I never turn this on. What it'll do is it'll sometimes put up some swing points here for you. Maybe you guys should go down to the daily chart and stick over here for a little bit. There's actually no swing points here right now, so it's not going to really show them to you guys, but it'll just add another layer onto the chart for you, okay? If you move this up and down, that's basically the sensitivity level. The lower you go, the more sensitive it becomes. The higher you go, the less sensitive it becomes. So maybe a little bit different for to kind of memorize that. Next up, you're going to see show strong, weak, high lows. That'd be these little guys right here, the HL right there. We don't really have too many of them on the daily chart. Equal lows over here, equal lows over here. All right, you're going to see those little things, the highs right there. I don't really use these all too much. When I look at that, I just see a support level right there, so I'm not really needing it. But I think if you guys are a new investor, it's worth having on there. And it's just saying, hey, we've been falling for a minute, but there's some support here. Or we've been climbing for a minute, but there's some resistance here. Maybe I should consider selling a little bit just to make sure I can keep some of my profit, and I'll let the rest of it run and see what happens later on, okay? And usually when you see those, it does actually confirm a nice little reversal over here. You can see a high. Well, look at that. It was near a resistance, right? Now, after that, you're going to see order blocks over here. And there's a lot of order blocks on this screen, as you guys might imagine. There's going to be internal order blocks and swing order blocks. Just like with the labels up here with the change of character and the breakout structure, internal order blocks are good, but they're not as powerful as the swing order blocks. You're going to see a lot more internal order blocks than swing order blocks. So here's the internals. Turn that off. Everything goes off. Swings, right? More powerful, way down here. I know I should probably move this over for you guys to see, but I don't want to block everything there. And you can see that's going to be a much stronger support level. But you're probably going to run into these support levels earlier, and this is a good support level. This is a good support level, right? But That's how you can change it up. For me, if I am day trading and I'm looking at smaller time frames, I will use the internal order blocks only. If I am doing swing trading when it comes to trading for days or weeks or months, I'm going to be looking at the swing trade order blocks. All right. So depending on how you guys want to trade, you guys are going to have those on and off. If you guys feel like your chart is too cluttered and there's just too many of these bars, you can actually go over here and say, hey, I don't want 5 order blocks. Maybe I only want 1 order block. And it'll use the most recent order block, which in this case happens to be a resistance order block. The red ones are going to say, hey, this is going to be resistance, and the blue ones are going to be support. You can change the colors as always, but I typically will just leave them the same, all right? So we're going to put this back up to 5. We're going to leave the internal order blocks there for now, but depending on how you guys want to trade, you guys can have it set up with this one or this one. I prefer to use internal order blocks for now because I know most of you guys want to learn how to day trade and not necessarily swing trade. Now, next up, you're going to have the order block filter, ATR versus cumulative mean range. I have never found a use for cumulative mean range unless I've been trading 4X. So I'd recommend that the majority of you guys stick to ATR. If you were to look at the actual info of what they say, it says the method used to filter out volatile order blocks. It is recommended to use the cumulative mean range when a low amount of data is available. How often do you guys have a low amount of data? Bitcoin's been around for a while. I prefer, if you really are going to use it, I've only found it to really work well for me, like I said, with Forex. But in theory, you could use this with a stock that just had an IPO or a new cryptocurrency that just came out, and there's not like a 20 days of information for a MACD or a moving average or something like that. So if you don't have a lot of information, you can use the cumulative mean range. But the majority of you guys that are trading stocks or options or cryptocurrency, most of the cryptocurrencies that people trade, they've been around for a long time. So ATR is probably going to be your best bet. And again, I really have not found a reason to really use cumulative mean range ever. I've looked at it, I've tested it. I just prefer ATR, and I think you guys are going to prefer it as well. Next up here, something very, very simple. Internal bullish order blocks, internal bearish order blocks, all these order blocks here that we were just talking about. This is where you guys can change the colors and the opacities and say, hey, I want it to be a lot darker like that. I think it looks hideous. So I will typically keep it at 20%, or I will go down even more towards 15 to 10%, depending on what I'm looking at, okay? Things like this, I think 20% is perfectly fine, but if you guys want to, you guys maybe have bad eyesight or something like that, you can tweak them to your personal preference, because you guys always want to be very comfortable while trading, right? So after this, we have the equal high lows. This is pretty similar to what we were looking over here as far as the strong weak high lows. This is just equal high lows, a little bit different, but they're pretty much very similar, okay? So if you guys don't want to have them on, of course, you can turn them off like that. Most people will have them on. I'd recommend if you guys are a new investor, you keep them on right there. You're going to need these things called bar confirmation, a threshold, and a label size. Label size, make these normal like everything else, just so everything seems to be the same size. Bars confirmation means there has to be 3 bars showing, hey, there's some resistance here, hey, there's some support here, before it actually starts to open up and show you guys those signals, right? So if I go right here, it says number of bars used to confirm equal highs and equal lows, right? Next up, we have threshold. I will never really ever change this. If you guys want to, you can, but I haven't really found that it helps me all too much when it comes to momentum trading. If you guys are really going after maybe a VWAP type of strategy and you guys are really going off of the seconds chart or the minutes chart, maybe this could be a little bit better for your thresholds, but typically I haven't found it to be that useful. If you go right over here to the info sign, it'll say sensitivity threshold in a range 0 to 1 used for the detection of equal highs and lows. Lower values will return fewer but more pertinent results. I don't like to have too many results or too few. In fact, where it's at right now usually balances out with the support levels and the metrics that I have in my brain without all the technicals on the screen. And I think that's a good baseline for most of you guys to start at by not changing this whatsoever. Over time, if you guys are reading more books, you're trying to become more advanced traders, you're really trying to do high frequency trading where you guys are trading like $50,000 and you're only holding it for 10 seconds in the market. This is where this threshold becomes much more important. But for now, I wouldn't recommend touching it all too much until you guys really have an understanding and you guys have used this indicator for probably a month or two consistently, even if it's on the weekends. Then from there, you can start to go in a little bit more in depth here. Now, we already talked about label size. We don't have to worry about that. Next up, you have fair value gaps. Basically, a fair value gap is going to be when we have a large move. And of course, you guys can always do a little bit of research on this yourself. But let's say we have this large move right here. Momentum will tell you that we're initially going to have a pullback into this because we moved up too fast. There's going to be a slight pullback that goes back down below this candle. Sometimes it's half, sometimes it's a quarter, but we're going to be pulling back eventually. So you want to buy around those zones. So what this indicator will do a lot of times, because there's a lot of opportunities for these fair value gaps, like they're everywhere, it'll try to find the most obvious ones for you and show you them to you a little bit easier. All right, so you can see it popped up right there, and it'll have this little halfway point. A lot of times price action will eventually come back to that halfway point. Not always, but enough where they want to put it there. And you can see eventually it did come to that halfway point, and if I were to add a horizontal line here, that's not on a magnet, you'll see we came back over here and we came pretty close right there, and then we decided to rip back up towards the heavens on that side. Okay, that's basically what they are. They're pretty useful, but sometimes we won't come all the way back to the middle. You can see sometimes we just dip back into the zone, and while we're in that zone, it can often be a good opportunity to buy. I usually don't have these in my setup because I like to trade with momentum. These are not really momentum based. But if you guys want to do them, let's say with a 15-minute chart, look at that. Came right back all the way through here and then bounced back up. And again, there's fair value gaps everywhere. There's one right here that goes halfway and we bounced off of it here for a second before falling back down. There's a lot of different things. I just don't personally use them all too much because that's not the type of trading that I do. All right, that's not the type of trading that I do. But if you guys hear about them and you guys want to learn more and you guys do use them, you guys can. And there's this thing called auto threshold. Basically, it filters out non-significant fair value gaps, because if you don't do that, they're all, like there's a fair value gap right here that goes halfway and you see I bounced off from it. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So typically I keep this off. Next, we have time frame. This is set to chart right now. So this means that all of the change of characters, all that stuff will adjust based on the time frame that I'm on. So you see you change a character right here. Well, if I go to 5, 15, 30, all of this information is going to be much different because we're going to be focusing on what happened inside of all of these candles. I will always keep this at chart. If you guys want to, if I were to zoom out, and let's go over to the weekly chart. And I go over here and I said, hey, we're going to be looking at the time frame for the 1 hour chart. Oh, I better change it here. Let's go to the 15-minute. There we go. These are all things that happen in the 1 hour chart, not the 15-minute chart that we're looking at, okay? So it's a little bit different. I don't really like it too much, but you guys don't have to change it all too much. But I think when it comes to the fair value gaps and all that type of stuff, most of you guys should just stick with the chart, because then once you see it, you can add that line, then you can go back into the time frame and then you can just see it right there. I prefer that way, but there are people that prefer to just have it all kind of on there. I like to have a beautiful, simplistic chart where I can read it efficiently. If you guys need the extra stuff, I would actually keep this checked off, and I would have the fair value gaps and have this set to whatever time frame you're looking at, and it may make it a little bit easier, but I think chart is usually the best way to go. Also, you can change the colors right here. You can extend the fair value gaps. So when you saw that green bar, basically you can make it go along with the time frame here, so it'll just get longer and longer, like its own order block, if you will. I have never found a reason to use that because it gets really cluttered with the other order blocks. So you have blue order blocks, red order blocks, now green order blocks. It just, I don't like it too much. But you guys can do that if you want to see the support extended out. I see a lot of people do 10. So if I were to turn this back on for you very fast, you can see how now it's not just with the candle. Now it's kind of moved out a little bit more. And if I were to send it back over here to 1, you'll see it move back over here when I say okay. Boom, right? So nice and easy right there, not too complicated. Again, I'm going to turn this off here because I don't use it, but if you guys do want to, you guys can. Next up, we have something called high-lows MTF. These are default or by default going to be turned off, and they're going to have different opportunities for you to change the lines and the different colors for the lines. But these are the local daily, weekly, and monthly support and resistance levels, all right? So you can see all of these blue lines solid just kind of popped up on the screen, and I'm on the 15-minute chart. Well, right now, this is the current, what is this? Yes, this is yesterday's daily low. This is yesterday's weekly low. and this is also the monthly low over here, and that's way over here. All right, so this is last month's low, and of course we just started a new month today, so it's going to adjust in about 4 hours from now. But this will just show you, hey, usually when you have these lines, there's going to be a little bit of resistance. And you saw we stopped over here for a little bit. We got back up, but we still got rejected back down. This is from the daily low here, so it doesn't really matter too much. But again, it'll show you all that important information here. And since I'll go to the daily chart so it spreads out a little bit more. This is the monthly high from over here. This is the weekly high. This is the weekly low. This is the daily high. This is the daily low. This is the monthly low right here. All of these are going to be nice levels of support and resistance. Right now, though, it's kind of going through a weird phase because it's adjusting to the new month. It is technically September 1st. However, the monthly candle hasn't closed yet, and it doesn't close, I believe, until about 5, I think. Yeah, so it'll take a little bit of time here. All right. I don't really keep these on here, but I think if you guys are day trading and you guys want to have like, hey, there's a hidden support level here, you guys can focus on that. So, but again, you see that line that's right there? That's just a clear support level right there. I would already have that support in my mind. But if you guys want it, use it. It's a good tool there if you guys especially aren't familiar with looking and finding support and resistance levels that matter, right? These are all different support and resistance levels over here, but you should clearly be able to tell, hey, this is a bigger resistance level than these little ones over here based off of how much we got rejected, all right? Okay. Next up here, and this is probably the last thing you guys have to worry about before we start breaking down some strategies and things like that, you have premium discount zones. This is a very fun one, and this is almost like order blocks, but it shows you a little bit more of a powerful support and resistance. So what I'm going to do so you guys can see it a little bit easier, I'm actually going to turn off the order blocks so you guys can just see these lines right here. So you see premium, this is going to be a very strong resistance. This is going to be a neutral level where you guys might want to buy if it comes back down to these levels, right? And you're going to see a very good discounted support. So typically, depending on how you guys want to use this, if you guys are swing trading, a lot of times you might wait for this to fall back down. Now, this isn't really the best with weekly charts or daily charts. This is really good when it comes to the 15s, the 5s, the hourly charts and stuff like that. So if we're to go back over here, you guys can see a little bit better. And what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to refresh this a little bit. There you go. And think of a support level, think of a resistance level, and just think of a neutral level where the price is usually going to be at the median. So when you're around this and you're seeing a discount level and a premium level, and maybe we've been ranging for a little bit of time, like going sideways, well, if you buy below this equilibrium, eventually it's going to go back up. So you can be happy to buy anywhere below this line because eventually we're going to go higher. It doesn't mean we're going to go all the way back up to the premium level over here to sell. It just means, hey, we're going to go up eventually. And over here, you're going to be happy to sell it anywhere because you bought low and you sold higher. And if you guys are using crypto trading with leverage, you can make some money. Options, you can make some money very fast. If you're using stocks, then you might have to go more towards a daily chart or a swing chart because you're going to have to wait a few weeks for that type of big move to happen unless you're trading something like a GameStop or an AMC, which is very volatile, very high risk, and very risky type of investment. Just like cryptocurrency can be very risky these days, of course. All right, so that's everything in terms of this. Input to the status line, don't worry about this one. This is just something that helps keep everything flowing along from the algorithm's perspective. Don't worry about it. Just keep it right there clicked on. Afterwards, you got a couple things like style and visibility. You never have to change this type of stuff. You don't have to worry about it, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the weekly chart. And we're going to start doing strategies, okay? Strategies are very important, and now I'm going to give you guys, let's say, 2 that are very easy to learn, and they're going to have the same basic setup, with one being very strict and one being more relaxed, but increasing the risk and the opportunities for profits at the same time, all right? So we're going to go all the way back here very fast, just so you guys know exactly what I'm turning on and off. So I'm going to get rid of this very fast. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to type in Smart Money Concepts, LuxAlgo, click on it once. I'm just going to do a fast checklist here. Historical, colored. For now, let's do color candles just to make it interesting for you guys. Internal structure, we're going to keep this on. We're going to turn the Confluence filter off. We don't want this to be on right now. We're going to go from tiny to normal. All, swing size normal. Show swing points, we don't need this. We're going to turn off show strong, weak, low highs. And actually for you, for tutorial, let's keep this on for you guys. We're going to keep the internal order blocks on, and we're going to put the swing order blocks on as well, but we're going to have the swing order blocks down to 2 and the internal order blocks stay at 5. Next up, we're going to keep the order block filter at ATR. Order block mitigation, we're going to keep this high-low. We're going to keep this the same here. Internal, all these colors, we're going to keep them exactly the same. Equal high-lows we'll keep on for you guys. We're going to keep the label size as normal. We're going to have the 3-bar confirmation. We're going to have the threshold stay at 0.1, although you guys know you can change it in the future once you guys dive into what type of trader you guys really want to be. Fair value gaps will remain off. And then we're going to keep off daily, weekly, and monthly lines, support and resistance levels, if you will. And if you want to, we can keep this off for now because it does look a little bit clustered if we have all of the order blocks in there. And you can see the discount zones, the premium zones, the equilibrium zones as well. I'm going to keep these off for now, though. Going to hit OK. And then from here, you can just look at Bitcoin. Oh, and last thing, of course, go over here to visual order, bring front. That way it doesn't go back and forth. You can see the last few years with Bitcoin. If you would have just bought and just held, because this is a weekly chart, you're going to have to hold for months and months. If you buy at the green and hold, it may not be the best perfect buying opportunity, but guess what? It keeps on going up after you buy, and that's exactly what you guys want to know. And if you were to sell at the reds, right, buy at the green, sell at the reds, you know you're making some good money there. Now, Bitcoin can be volatile, so you can see it worked out pretty well over here. Again, it may not give you the best opportunity to sell, but you have the ability to say, hey, there's a big level of resistance over here. We got back up. Maybe this may end up being a double top. Maybe I should start to sell off a little bit of stuff, right? And on and on and on. Sold right here, went back up, but guess what? It went all the way back down. Buy. Great opportunities for Bitcoin if you just buy and sell. And what I'll do very fast before we really break down the strategy, which includes a couple more indicators here, I'll go over here to the stock market and I'll just pull up something like you guys already know, NVIDIA, right? Go back over here. Again, you buy over here, you sell over here, you're happy. You buy over here, haven't sold yet, but again, happy, you're happy. You buy over here, you sell that, you're happy. You're very, very happy customer. Very, very happy customer. And that's the way a lot of people will use this indicator. But now, once we go back to Bitcoin here, I'll show you guys a few different ways to use it, because it's not just a buy indicator and a sell indicator, or a short indicator and a long indicator. It does a lot more than that, specifically when you integrate this into a strategy, all right? So what I want you guys to do, and this is how you guys are going to set up your chart, you're going to go back over here to indicators, metrics, and strategies. You guys are going to type in simple moving average. I'm going to see it. That's not the right one. Let's go SMA. There we go. Oh, moving average simple. They make it so much more complicated on here. And I want you guys to check it 3 times, okay? Mine is under favorites, but you can see it right here under technicals as well. 1, 2, 3. You're going to see them all pop up right there, okay? All going to be slightly different colors, but they're all going to have the same value. So the line is going to be going with them always. Next up, we're going to go over here to length. All right, let me stop very fast. Go over to SMA, click on the settings button, go to length, hit 20, go to style, make this into a green line and make it thick. And that's all you got to do for that one. Go to the middle one, settings, change it from blue to light blue, thicker line, go back to inputs and go make this a 50. Hit OK, go to the next one, hit settings, go to 200 for length, and then from style, make it yellow and make the line thicker. For whatever reason, it kind of sticks to where you were before, so it kind of goes from style to input back and forth, as you guys can see that. But after that, hit OK, and then you got 3 moving averages on your chart. For Bitcoin and a lot of other assets out there, these are very important on the weekly charts. And of course, as you move time frames, they will stay around. The green one being the last 20 days or 20 weeks in this example, the blue one being the last 50 weeks of a moving average, and the yellow one being the 200 weekly moving average as well. So that looks all very nice and clean. You guys don't have to make them thick, but again, I like to see the lines, and we are zoomed in a lot right now. So when I go back to 100%, they don't look too crazy at this moment in time. And if they were, they'd look that, if I didn't have them large, they would look like that type of line. And I don't like that at all. I like to see what I'm looking at here. Boy, I don't have to squint or anything like that. So next up here, guys, we're going to be adding 3 momentum indicators on the bottom. You guys, if you watch my streams, you guys already know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be adding the MACD, the stochastic, excuse me, guys. And then we're going to be adding, for the last one, we're going to be adding the RSI, Relative Strength Index. Now, All of these take up a large portion of the screen, and that's okay for now, but we're going to shrink them down here in a second. Go over here to MACD, and you're going to see settings. I want you guys to click on this. If you guys do not see this MACD stochastic with this little bar loading up, that just means that this thing right here is hidden. So if you hide the legends up here, you're not going to be able to click on it or see anything over here as far as settings or any of that stuff. So you have to drop this down just in case that's happening and you guys are like, what the heck is going on? That's the easy fix. So hit MACD, go over to settings. You're going to keep everything the same except for the MACD. I want you to make the line thick. And make the line thick for the blue and the orange lines. That is all you're doing. You don't have to go to inputs. You guys don't have to change anything out of this. This is a good basic setup for a lot of you guys in there. Next up, go to stochastic, settings, go to style first, blue line thicker, orange line thicker, the K and the D lines, all right? Upper band, everything. You can keep this exactly the same right here. You guys don't really have to tweak that unless you guys have been trading for a little bit of time here. Next up, I want you guys to change these. This stochastic is useful to a certain degree, but there's a lot of signals. See how it's going all over the place? It's bouncing all over the place. I like to have a smooth, nice to easy read line. So using AI, I basically came up with a few numbers that work very well for me that smooth out that line and still gave me the same signals without all the false positives and the negative positives and things like that. So for the K length, I want you guys to make this 21. For the K smoothing, I want you guys to make this 5. And for the D smoothing, I want you guys to make this 5 as well. And you see how it got a lot more easy to read, Afterwards, hit OK, and you're done with that. Next up, I want you guys to go to the RSI, and you can skip changing all the numbers. You guys don't have to worry about that. Go over to style, and again, for the yellow line and the purple line, just go over here and make the line thicker. That's all you have to do for that. And just like that, you have everything you need to start trading right now. For us at this moment in time, because you can see this is a lot of stuff and the chart is very small because we have everything kind of zoomed in here, what I'm going to do now is zoom out back to 100 and you can see what it looks like. You can shrink this down a little bit, shrink this down a little bit, and shrink this down a little bit, and you guys can still read them. I would, however, say if I move over my head here very fast, you can see this thing that says auto right here. Make sure all of these are checked on. That way you guys can zoom in and it doesn't kind of mess up the way everything looks, all right? So let me move my head back over there into the corner. And now we're going to be talking about the strategies here. You guys know that if it turns green, you typically want to be buying around there. And if it turns red, you typically want to be selling around there. But it's not that easy because people think it's just buy, sell, and you don't use anything else. This is where the momentum comes in. This is where the moving averages come in. This is where everything good really starts to happen when it comes to trading and investing. So you can see over here, there was actually a glitch. You can see how the change of character hits this candle bar right here, but this one is green. This is only because of some type of software issue I think they had with the app, because this should be a green bar right here. And this is exactly when you guys want to buy. You're going to be having a mental checklist with you guys, all right? And all you guys want to see is 4 different things and one thing that should not be there. Okay, let me explain. You want to see a green change of character. That's one. You want to see a MACD that is also bullish. That means green, or the blue line is above the orange line. They both represent the same thing as far as the MACD, right? So you want to see that. You want to see the stochastic being bullish as well, which means the orange line is below the blue line, or the blue line is above the orange line. And then for the same thing for the RSI, you want that to be bullish as well. You want to see the purple line above the yellow. When you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 things all working out, you can buy right here, hold it, and then you're going to be making some really good money. Now, let's say that this was wrong and we really did start here, right? Guess what? Bitcoin still ran up another 22% or something like that. So you were able to make a money for just holding for a few weeks. That is absolutely amazing. If you guys use leverage like Weeks Exchange or BYDFi, things like that, which I have some links down below if you want to get started with leverage, but if you guys trade with leverage, that 5x times the 20%, that's over 100% right there. It's absolutely fantastic. It really just depends on if you guys are trading leverage, it's crypto or stocks or options. It all plays the same game, but it works for all of them, all right? So when you have everything set up, you're very, very good. However, the thing that you do not want to see there is a level of obvious resistance. So you can see if we were to zoom out on this chart, well, check this out. if I can find my little thingamajigger here, there we go. There was a level of resistance here because Bitcoin was at all-time highs. We had just broken out, and because we just broken out with everything being green, 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 well, guess what? This means that you could feel happy to go long, and then what you would be using is maybe some type of Fibonacci level to find that next level of resistance. Now, I'm not going to teach you guys how to use Fibonacci levels here, but let me show you how I use the Fibonacci levels. I went back in time a little bit here. I picked up the trend-based Fibonacci extension. I pulled it down here, went up high, and then I had noticed that this was actually pretty accurate with resistance levels, resistance levels, resistance levels. So when I bought this, I was saying, hey, let me just sell at the resistance level. And lo and behold, I sold and we went back down, and I was happy to buy here and sell here. Take that 20% with my 5 to 10x leverage, take that money and run, and wait for the next opportunity to trade. That's the first way. That's the easiest way. But there's a reason why I started off with the weekly chart. For the weekly chart, everything is a lot easier as far as that checklist that we talked about here, as far as the MACD, Stochastic, and RSI. So what I'm going to do very fast is I'm going to put down this vertical line here showing you when everything was bullish. Was bullish, bullish, bullish. Everything was good. And now we're going to go over to the daily chart. Now that we know everything is bullish after this point on, because remember, we can't see it yet. It's not there when we're opening the trade. When we actually have that move, I want to make sure that on the daily chart, everything is bullish right here. So I can see that the MACD went bullish here. I can see that Stochastic was bullish and the RSI was bullish. So I'm okay opening up a smaller term trade for about a week or so to see if I can make some money off of that. The reason, though, that you don't open up a trade right here, even though it worked out, is because there's still a major level of resistance right there. Why would you long into a resistance level? Because again, let's say you're hoping for some massive growth that goes all the way over here, so you buy right there. Remember, it's not perfectly bullish at this point, everything. So you're hoping for something larger, but guess what? It just runs smack dab into a level of resistance, and you end up holding. You don't sell because you hope something is going to get better, but it never does. And all of a sudden, you're holding it back, and it goes down and down and down. And then you sell down here at the support when everybody's freaking out. All of a sudden, it bounces back up, and it goes off to the heavens. You're like, oh my gosh, what happened? You tried to buy at a resistance level. It's okay to wait until it breaks out before buying. It's definitely okay to do that. Excuse me. And on top of that, you guys primarily want to see these big moves like this. You want to see these massive chunky moves. You guys can trade these ones, but typically you're going to be day trading during these and really enjoying these for swing trades and day trading here. These are not things where you expect to make a lot of money. This is typically where you see people do a lot of leverage trading, like 20x, 50x, because they know the move is not going to be as big. Whereas when you see the breakout here, everything from the weekly to the daily charts moving bullishly, you can see that really pop up and go a lot higher up to that next level of resistance. Fun fact for Bitcoin, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to hit it because of inflation and stuff like that, but our next level of resistance is all the way up here around $176,000. So if Bitcoin hits that level, I'm selling off a lot of assets at that point in time. A lot of assets, because every single time this Fibonacci has been a very good tool for me. Now, I'm going to get rid of it because we're not really focused on Fibonacci levels right here. I'm going to get rid of all these other two drawings very fast. And I want to show you guys that, again, if I were to add this back over here, let's say we're bullish right there, all right? On the 15-minute chart or the hourly chart, if you wanted to dive down even more into this, you're going to look for the same thing. You want the weekly chart to be bullish. You want the daily chart to be bullish. You want the 4-hour chart to be bullish. And then you can start focusing on the 1-hour chart. And again, if the 4-hour chart's bullish, you can buy right here. Everything is bullish, bullish, bullish. You can trade it up and make you money. And again, you don't have to hold it for the entire rally. You can just buy right here and sell up here, and you can take your money and run, especially if you guys are using leverage, especially if you guys are using options. That money can flow in very, very quickly. With stocks, of course, it's slower, but it's safe. You're not really risking 10 or 50% type of thing like as you would with a leverage position or an option position. It's a lot more safe. Which is why a lot of people start off with stocks and then kind of move over to more advanced topics like cryptocurrency and options, because the volatility can really mess with your emotions. All right, so the interesting thing, though, is when you start moving over to the 5-minute charts and the 15-minute charts, you don't have to worry about the daily charts anymore or the weekly charts, because the momentum is going to be shifting within those larger momentum shifts, if you will, right? So what you'd be looking for is go over to the 4-hour chart and you'd be saying, hey, What's something more recent? There we go. You can see that there's a lot of choppiness here, right? It says buy right here, buy right here, buy right here. But the daily chart, look at that, kind of popped up and went down a little bit, but it still managed to go higher a little bit. But let me show you. Momentum over here was all green. That was nice to see. So momentum really got back into gear right here. And there we go. Also, again, there's a big level of resistance here. You can draw an order block, your own order block if you wanted to, and say, hey, why would I buy right here knowing the resistance is right there? Why would I buy right here knowing resistance is right there? I'd have to buy really low in order to make that type of move here to make me want to get in there. Otherwise, it just doesn't really make too much sense for me. All right, it doesn't really make much sense at all, actually. All right, so let's back up a little bit here, though. But since we have a good 4-hour chart that seems to be bullish, and I think the daily chart around this time was bullish as well, although it's not really important, right? Still in the middle of that bullish ride, you can go over here to the 5-minute chart afterwards, and you can look for all of those individual little things. And I think as I kind of scroll here, what makes this special is this is where you start to add on all of your other indicators as well. If you guys know how to use patterns, add a triangle, add a resistance level, add some trend lines onto that sucker so you guys can see, oh, this is a double top, this is double bottom, this is a descending triangle, this is an ascending triangle. All of those things you can start to draw on here, and you can put them on the larger time frames, the small ones, but it all kind of show up here. And so what we're seeing here all of a sudden is this. The change of character is bearish. All right. Momentum. There we go. That can be a little bit wild sometimes to drag them on top of each other. You can see, but all three of the momentums went to bullish, right? And if you guys want to trade off momentum alone and not look at smart money concepts, this is where the smaller time frames really help you out. You don't have to pay attention to the color of the candles, which is why I say normally I don't have the color candles on, but I think for new traders, it may help you out a little bit, right? So you may be saying, oh, yeah, but this is green, but it's not going anywhere. Well, let's zoom out a little bit and just see what the heck is going on here, right? We're in the median. This has been choppy for a while. We're in the middle right there. And if you were to zoom in a little bit more, you can see, maybe I can actually show it to you this way. There is going to be a little bit of resistance going forward over here from these old ones. So why would you buy right there knowing there's going to be a resistance line over here? Even though we broke above it, it doesn't matter. There's still going to be that same resistance level. When you break above that and everything is green, right? Everything is bullish right here, bullish right there, bullish right there. That's where the move really came in. You have to wait for that breakout. There are going to be so many signals that you guys see that do not matter. This one right here, it broke out, but it was at a level of resistance from the horizontal, right? From the horizontal. So why would you take that chance to buy right there? It makes no sense. So you guys really have to understand what's happening from a zoomed out perspective as far as resistance, support. And you can see right here, for example, let me back out a little bit more here. Well, before I move on, you guys understand what I'm saying, though. You guys have to be careful not to long into resistance or short into support. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. And then basically, when you guys are looking to sell, you can use Fibonacci levels. You can use those resistance levels if you bought way down below them. Yeah, of course, use them as a selling opportunity. You lock in those profits, you pay your taxes, and you keep on trading and trading and trading. But let's back up here a little bit more. And let's focus on the second strategy here, which is pretty much similar to the first one, but I only use it with trading patterns, all right? So, for example, for this one, I'm only looking for a technical breakout here. So, you can see the red change of character over here. It was bearish at the time, so bearish, bearish, bearish. You can trade this down right here, and you can make some money. And, of course, you can see there's a support level right here. Right? But if you're opening up a position right here, you can trade it right down there if you want to, or you can see if it goes down lower. But a lot of people just buy right here and short and see me short right here and cover back their positions right here, which I think could be pretty darn interesting if I'm being honest. But you can see there's kind of a bunch of stuff right here, tapped right there, 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 tapped right there. You can be happy to take that profit. This is on the shorting side here, and that's about 7-8%. Again, with leverage, you can do very well. With stocks, it's okay to make 8%. That's a really good return for holding for a few weeks. Now, on the other hand here, Why may you want to hold on to this for a little bit longer? Why? Well, let's do a little bar right here. What happened at this time? Let's go check out the 12-day chart. Right? 12-day chart showed there was still momentum lacking, right? The stochastic and the RSI was still bearish at this point in time, or the RSI was a little bit more bullish going into bearishness, right? And by the time everything went bearish, it was this week, and we kept on actually going down, down, down. So you may have opened up a whole nother trade, but you're going to notice that this was all green here on the chart. So the smart money concept isn't even the most important thing when it comes to these strategies. It's really the momentum on the bottom, but the smart money gives you a clear idea of the support and resistance levels and things like that. We go over to the weekly chart though. Look at that. This is the most important one. This is why we started with it. Back over here, when we had that original line there, guess what? It just turned bearish. So you may have wanted to hold for a little bit. You may have wanted to hold that short for a little bit longer period of time, even though it was a green change of character. And the reason people don't really care about this all too much is, look at, this is looking so far ahead that if you bought here, sure, it went down, but it still went higher than this. So of course it was still green, right? That change of character means different things depending on how you are trading it. Sure, it may say, oh yeah, you know, for people that like me that bought over here, were holding for months and months and months, I don't mind this dip. This dip is an opportunity for me to dollar cost average and buy more, right? Because I still know we're going higher. The momentum is still carrying us higher. How do I know the weekly charts are still bullish? Because the monthly charts are still bullish. Now, Smart Money Concepts is not built for monthly charts. You can see it's all red right here. But the momentum on the bottom still shows me that we are still in good spirits. Everything is bullish, bullish, bullish. And that's exactly what I want to see there. It may go up and down in every which way, but guess what? That momentum on the upside is still very, very strong. All right. So let's go back over here to the weekly chart very fast. Go back over here. And you can see there's an opportunity for you to do that. And of course, you could always add on another Fibonacci level. Maybe you want to hold, you can use moving averages as your levels of support and resistance if you guys want to. Like right here, we had some support over the last few days, but of course, it's kind of all over the place right now. But you can always go over here to the Fibonacci extension, go back to your magnet, and be like, okay, let me see what I got. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, look at that. Hit right there. That's where it got some big resistance levels. Sure, went down a little bit more, but that's where you really had an opportunity to sell. Easy stuff like that can go a long way. So it's up to you to kind of say, hey, I am knowing pretty much when to buy because I have a trend line, I have momentum, and I have a change of character, all kind of telling me to buy. But you have to be able to say, hey, there's a level of resistance for me to sell at. Oh, there's another trend line over here. Or, hey, there's something that I don't know that's going to be on the horizon that I got to be very aware of on this specific day. Usually on the day, it's going to be something like an earnings report for stocks or interest rate decisions for the Fed, for the cryptocurrency and things like that. All of that has to come into play here. And then when you guys really want to have an easier trade day, you don't trade on days where there's a bunch of news coming out. You trade when it's very boring because everything is, like, you're going to be following all the traders on Wall Street using strategies like this, right? Got to back up a little bit, making sure I'm not rolling over my dog's foot. And this is why I wanted to bring up this, because I kind of went on a small tangent here. See this trend line right here? Speaking of my dog, you guys can hear him pitter-patting, right? We broke out. You could have bought in this right here, and it, you know, but at the time, again, at the time when it broke out, you didn't know what was going to happen in the future. You see a big level of resistance right there. You see a death cross between the 50 and the 200 daily moving averages. You see all these order blocks up here, and you see some momentum on the daily chart saying being bullish, 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 right? You swing forward over here to the weekly chart. The momentum was still bearish at this point in time on the weekly chart. Right? So you can do some day trading over here on the 15 and the 5 because the 4 hour is probably bullish at this point in time. However, that doesn't seem like you want to be trading. If you go here and you speed up the process a little bit, let me go to like a replay speed of maybe 3x. Let me just hit play very fast. Right? Goes up, goes up, goes up. Right? And it just turned green right there. You would think, oh, okay, well, it must suck really buying right here for a swing trade. With a day trade that lasts a few days, you can always buy right here and ride that wave if you guys want to. There's just more risk associated with it. But if I speed this up to 10x all of a sudden, you guys are like, oh, well, let me add a little bit of maybe a star or something here for you guys to see. Yeah, star at this point, right? 5th of May. There we go. It may seem boring. It may seem like nothing's going to happen. All of a sudden, that move is still coming along. That move is still happening. You can buy that technical breakout because you do have the green change of character there. But I think it's just important for people to understand. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit, you can see actually how it did actually go a lot higher, right? But it really just depends on how you guys want to trade, right? It really depends on how you guys want to trade. I go back over here to the daily. Again, you can buy right here on that one. Everything is still good. You can trade that thing right there. But then you see, where's that next level of resistance at? Oh yeah, there's like an order block right here. Oh, look at that, yeah. Maybe I should just be happy and take that trade right there and be in and out and make my money. If you want to hold on longer, you definitely can, but there's different reasons for that. And of course, you can still hold that longer because the monthly chart is still green. We just don't really focus on the monthly chart too much as far as the momentum, right? That's why everybody always complains about Bitcoin being too volatile and stuff. And I know my head is partially blocking it, but if you were to look at Bitcoin's returns over the last few months versus years, 1 week we're down 4%, 6 months we're up 25%, year to date only 16%. But if you've been holding Bitcoin for the last year, you're up 85%. And that's because the monthly charts are still bullish as the momentum is going on. When those start to lose momentum, oh boy, you're in trouble when you're holding your asset, okay? So let's get this very fast. And I want to do this very fast. All right. It's not going to look 100% perfect, but I think we're fine here. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial here. I will be making more tutorials like this. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and I really didn't get to it all. I noticed we were hitting the 1 hour mark, and I didn't want to make this into a 2 hour, 3 hour tutorial. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be giving you guys the strategy components next time. More strategies, more strategies, more strategies. But you guys have a clear understanding of how to use smart money concepts now. And then from there, we can build off of that platform talking about, hey, let's use smart money concepts with patterns. Let's use momentum with patterns, because momentum with patterns is very, very important. How to trade options with patterns, all that type of stuff. We can really break all that stuff down for you. That way you guys can just start making some more consistent profits. Once you guys learn how to get profitable, like 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, everything becomes a lot easier because you know exactly what the situations are that bring you those types of income. All right. Now, before I let you guys say goodbye, please make sure to subscribe and like the video as always. My dog over here wants to go outside because he is very, very needy, as you guys might say, or he's just jealous that I've been talking for an hour and not playing with him. Right. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thanks.